Labor politicians in Canberra must now see their Prime Minister is a broken man. He's shaken, shocked, he's scared and shunned. I wonder how long it will take before they conclude that while Anthony Albanese is their leader, they share his shame over the Bondi massacre of the Jews. Now, I thought it was too early to say this, but I say it now after last night and today. Anthony Albanese must go. In the last 24 hours, he has seen the worldwide revulsion, and not just the murder of 15 people at this Jewish celebration, allegedly by 2 Muslim gunmen, but also a revulsion at his role in what went before, doing so little to fight an explosion of Jew hatred that on Sunday helped cost the lives of all those people. And when Albanese did today finally promise tough new laws on hate preachers and hate speech, it was actually a devastating admission that he was acting far too late and still too little. He promised laws today that he could have and should have promised last year or the year before, when Jews were already begging him for protection. And today there was finally at least a very grudging admission that he had failed us. Well, you know, he had regrets that were prized out of him by journalists, that maybe he hadn't done enough, but still no sorry.
Is there a part of you that regrets not acting earlier with more strength and conviction to try and do more earlier? And for the pain that Jewish Australians and all Australians are feeling right now, do you apologise for that?
Look, my heart goes out to Jewish Australians. Is there more that can be done? There is always more that can be done, always. And quite clearly, there's more to do. And on top of these announcements, there'll be more to do as well. What we have been doing is working through the report of the Special Envoy, implementing a range of measures, but always indicating there will be more to do. And I indicate here as well, there will be more to do to stamp this out. I, of course, acknowledge that more could have been done, and I accept my responsibility for the part in that as Prime Minister of Australia.
I know it's a big call. Anthony Albanese must go. It'll take time for a lot of other people to suddenly realise, I think he must. So let me show you what else I've seen that's made me change my mind. Starting with stunning footage from last night of a man now in absolute hell. Now, Albanese does not dare visit synagogues, does not even visit the funerals of the dead, like the one today of 10-year-old Matilda, shot at a petting zoo that was set up next to that Hanukkah celebration at Bondi. He didn't even ask to go, didn't dare, after Matilda's father yesterday blamed him for her death. Mourners today could not forgive Albanese either.
Is there a place for a Prime Minister to come here? Should he be here?
No, because he has that girl's blood on his hands.
So last night Albanese went instead to somewhere he thought would be safer, St Mary's Cathedral, a Catholic cathedral, not a synagogue, to a commemoration of the Bondi dead. But if he thought he could hide there from humiliation, it didn't work. Albanese had to sit and listen as a Jewish leader finally told him to his face of a deadly lack of leadership. Now you watch as everyone applauded Rabbi Ben Elton. Even the New South Wales Premier sitting next to Albanese applauded. Everyone except Albanese, isolated.
Over the past 2 years, anti-Semitism in Australia has run riot. It has not been checked. It has not been stopped. Whatever has been done has been insufficient. Hateful rhetoric has to stop. Demonization has to stop. Pandering to movements that want to kill every Jew everywhere has to stop. The first duty of a state is to defend its citizens, all its citizens, including its Jewish citizens. I have no doubt
Well, today Albanese did promise action, some of which Jews had asked for last year. Among other things, is promised new powers to reject visas for people spreading hate, tougher penalties for hate speech urging violence, new offences to crack down on hate preachers, new moves to curb online anti-Semitism, and tougher rules on racism and anti-Semitism on campuses. But the obvious question is, why wasn't this done earlier? I mean, Jewish leaders were begging for exactly this kind of protection. And the answer is, well, all too hard.
Should you have put these in place a year ago when it was on the table? And is this the main thing that's changed to get you to take that action today?
Let's start with the context that for about a decade, the main argument that was happening in Australia was about weakening hate speech laws. And that was a debate that was happening in this building. This government, under Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, has been strengthening hate speech laws. Going the next step in the reference you're referring to was effectively a proposal of mimicking the WA legislation. You need to remember the heads of power here are complex. This is not simple drafting.
What an indictment. And nowhere was this explained. What has changed in Australia in the past 30 years that makes us need today what Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke was boasting were the toughest laws on our free speech we've ever had?
The Prime Minister's announcements today take Australia into new legal territory, creating new offences that have never before existed in Australia.
Now, I suggest that we need these laws now, mostly because of the kind of people and cultures we have recently imported. But on that issue, the Prime Minister today had nothing to say. Hatred is being muzzled, maybe, but the haters are still here. And I wonder how any of these rules announced today, or the outlines of them, the promise of them, will stop the kind of Jew hatred that one of the Jewish mourners today described.
Let me just tell you, all of you, how many bloody stars of David I could possibly have. I couldn't get any more if I tried. I can't, because I will never hide who I am. I am proud who I am, and I'm also, as maybe even more proud, of my Australianness.
So how difficult was it?
So, Matilda, a white coffin of a baby, we have all failed her. She is a ray of sunshine. Her friends described her as the most friendly, most beautiful, happy child. I ran the city to surf in this, okay, with my 8-year-old son and my husband. We got heckled, we got sworn at, Australian flag and Israeli flag. Somehow, the rhetoric over 2 years, when the Jewish people were attacked for the worst and first times, the worst time since the Holocaust. Do you know something? My therapist is non-Jewish. Her office is down the road in Wallara. I walked into her office the day after the 7th of October and I said to her, "Will you hide me?" And I wasn't joking, because I was scared for 2 years that this is exactly what was going to happen. My 8-year-old son was walking home from his school. He was wearing a kippah. He doesn't always wear it, but it's part of his uniform. A woman wearing a hijab looked at my son wearing a kippah and she swore at him. She said, "F you," and she put up her middle finger. He was, okay, my father was running. He has a kippah. He has a beard. He looks very religious. Random people in Coogee went, and let me just say something. When it is the little things of these little moments of hatred, in Wallara, the spray paint, where my therapist is, of F the Jews and gas the Jews and burn the Jews.
I mean, that is Jew hatred that you can only hope to limit by shutting the gate. It's been imported. So how about Albanese, I don't know, cancelling the tourism visas of the 3,000 people he's just invited to come from terrorist-run Gaza? Or is that too likely to upset Labor's Muslim voters? But it seems the opposition leader, at least, is leaning this way.
Now, the package that the Prime Minister announced today is something that he should have announced 2 years ago, and then just as a start. I don't have faith in the Prime Minister. This is the Prime Minister who is allowing a self-managed return of ISIS members, who didn't tell the truth to the Parliament and the Australian people about the return of these so-called ISIS brides. I don't trust that Prime Minister to get this right.
No, what Albanese announced today is all too late. Jews have been murdered, and our Prime Minister does not even dare look mourners in the eye and isn't welcome anyway.
Prime Minister, after the Port Arthur massacre, John Howard went to rallies, he engaged face-to-face in the community, even after the bushfires. Scott Morrison, went down to the South Coast and got some tough feedback. My question is, why haven't you attended any of the funerals? Why have you been saying that you weren't invited? Generally, the process is that the Prime Minister's office reaches out to the families and asks permission respectfully to attend. And will you be returning to Bondi to meet with victims face-to-face, even if that means receiving some really tough criticism?
I have done that. I met with police. I've met with members of the community. I've been to homes in Bondi.
Have you asked to attend the funeral?
I respect the wishes of families.
New South Wales Premier Chris Minns did dare go to that funeral. Albanese rival Tanya Plibersek in his ministry, she did dare go as well, was welcomed. He didn't. He hid in Canberra. And all this and more tells me that Albanese must go. A Prime Minister too scared to go to the Sydney funeral of a girl called Matilda, killed in this bonfire of Jew hatred that has erupted under his watch, a bonfire fed by his miserable political calculation that showing hatred for Israel would win him Muslim votes. A grubby and deadly mistake that was, for which Anthony Albanese must now pay.